What's up, guys? It is Trevi the Great here again with Way of the Swan. Something really cool for you guys today. This is going to be an abridged battle report. I've gotten a lot of requests from various people asking for a version of my long, full-length battle reports that I've been releasing lately. That's a little shorter, more condensed, with less background noise involved. I usually record my battle reports in crowded gaming stores, and that obviously has some downsides to it. It's hard to get everyone to be quiet when you're trying to record something because obviously it is a gaming store and people want to have fun. So anyway, I'm doing this. I'm going to record a voiceover for this game that I played recently, and we're going to see how it goes. And if people like it, I'll make more, and it'll be great. So the plan is right now to make one of these for each of the battle reports that I release from now on. I'm not going to go back and do it for the old ones because that seems like a lot of work, but we will see how it goes. So, this is for a game that I played recently. If you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, you probably saw it. It was eHaley versus Zaal, and this is the first in hopefully a series of many practice games that I play for a local event that's coming up, which is the New England Team Tournament, which is going to be a number of teams, I think cap of 16 teams of 3 from all over New England that are going to play. The format is 2 lists, 50 points, 42-minute death clock. Other than that, everything's just normal, mundane steamroller. And again, teams of 3, so they're going to be ranked by skill level, and the different skill levels will play each other, and whichever team gets the most wins out of that will win that round. And so I think 5 rounds is what they're looking to do, but we'll see how it goes. So a lot of practice going on for that, and this is the first of my practice games for the New England Team Tournament. Yeah, so let's go on to the list for this game. The Cygnar list that I'm playing today is Major Victoria Haley, eHaley, obviously. She's one of the most powerful Cygnar casters. A lot of people, say that you can't really play Cygnar competitively without an eHaley list in your matchup or in your list lineup, and that may be true. Now, the eHaley list that I am running in the New England Team Tournament is going to be a double Stormclad list. I played with a Stormwall for a little while and didn't like it too much, so I went to a double Stormclad variety. That's really good. She can obviously bullet a Stormclad up and kill something, and then feat, so you can't kill it back, and then it kills something else, and then you can finally kill that Stormclad. And I still have another Stormclad, hanging out ready to go. So it's a very powerful duo. We have backing them up a unit of Arcane Tempest gun mages with the officer. That is, when dead-eyed, those guys can really shred infantry, especially, stealth infantry or, stuff in concealment, because obviously they ignore that. So that is my anti-infantry mainstay. I also have a unit of Stormlance as a maximum unit. Those guys are some of my favorite units in Cygnar right now. They can really, put a lot of hurt on it. Really anything they want. They're power 15 on the charge, and with Electro Leap, they can clear infantry. To power the 2 Stormclads, I have a unit of Stormblade infantry, just to give some extra focus, and they can, swing with their swords later on. And then a bunch of support solos. I have a Squire on Haley. I have Runewood to give Path to Victory, or Pathfinder to whatever I want. A Journeyman Warcaster, and Epic Eiryss. So my opponent today is playing Zaal. He's a teammate of mine. He is playing Zaal and Xerxes at the New England Team Tournament. At least that's what the plan is right now. So this is his Zaal list for the tournament. It is Zaal at a Kovaas. In his battle group is a Basilisk Krea for some defense against shooting attacks. A Molik Karn, which is a little bit of an interesting choice, but that lets him under the feet and last stand. He can roll 5 dice for damage on something, or to hit if he really wants to, which is extremely powerful. He can also get Awakened Spirit on him, and that lets him cast Fatewalker for free every turn, so he can really do his hit and run and still do a lot of damage in melee without having to give up his Fury to cast that Animus. He has a Titan Gladiator for the additional threat range, and Pathfinder for his War Beasts, and then Aptimus Marketh to swap around Inviolable Resolve or that Last Stand if he really needs it. For his units, he has a maximum unit of Immortals. Those guys are awesome with Inviolable Resolve. They go up to armor 19 with Vengeance, power and strength 13 with Last Stand if need be, so they can do a lot of damage. A unit of Nihilators, Berserk and Last Stand works really well together. A minimum unit of Paingiver Beast Handlers to support those War Beasts. And then his solos, he has 2 Ancestral Guardians, Hekara the Destroyer, and a normal Ancestral Guardian. And then he has an Agonizer, and for Pathfinder for his units, he has Saxon Auric. So those are the lists that we'll be playing today. Here is the recording starting up right now. We've sped it up quite a bit so we can get this done in a timely manner. But here's the deployment. The scenario today would be into the breach. There is a 12-inch zone and a flag. The 12-inch zone there, you score 1 point if you control it, 2 points if you dominate it. You score 1 point if you dominate the flag, and 5 points to win. Now my opponent won the roll to go first, so he's taking the first turn, and I'm setting up here first. My Stormlances are going across from that zone there. Usually in this scenario, I like to just press as hard as I can against that zone. So the Stormlances being some of the big heavy hitters in my army, they're going to go across from that zone and try to deal as much damage as possible. My Gun Mages are in the middle, so that my opponent, they really want to shoot the Nihilators because they're the things that they can really kill in my opponent's army. So they're going to go in the middle so they can really react to where the Nihilators are going. And then my battle group is going in the center as well because my Warjacks are so fast in this list, they can really get anywhere that they need to. Now, you can't really see my opponent's deployment in this recording. You got a little cut off. It's hard to tell. The camera I'm using is a very small screen, so it's hard to tell exactly where it's pointing when I set it up. So sometimes I miss a couple things. But basically what my opponent's doing is he's placing his battle group on the side across from the flag. There's a little wall there, as you can see, on the right-hand side. That is where Zaal is going to go, along with Molik Karn. He's going to be far, far on that flag side, sort of near the well there on the bottom right-hand corner, and then the Titan Gladiators going over there as well. And then all of his units, as well as Saxon Auric and Aptimus Marketh, are going on the upper side across from the zone there to try to get and jam that zone and stop me from scoring points. So now we've got advanced deployment going down. My opponent's putting Saxon Auric across from that forest there with his infantry, and I'm putting Epic Eiryss across from the Immortals so that I can drop Inviolable Resolve when it gets put on them, so my POW 10s can start doing some damage over there. So getting on to turn 1, my Stormclad's running up. They're accumulating focus from the Stormblade, so they don't actually need any focus to run on the first turn. My Stormlance is running up to threaten that zone. Everything else running. Pathfinder is, Path to Victory is going down on the Stormlances, as well as Arcane Shield to make them fearless and armor 20. Haley's camping everything. She casts Deceleration just in case, but my opponent doesn't have any shooting attacks, so that's not going to do much. Eiryss running up into the forest, and that is that. So my opponent's turn. He's casting what he needs to so far. He's running up. There's Zaal going up there. He cast Awakened Spirit onto Molik Karn, and I think that was pretty much it. The Car running up. The Krea running up and putting paralysis on her, or paralytic aura to give a bonus defense against shooting, so that my gun mages aren't really going to do any damage to Zaal. And then here come the Nihilators. So they're going to be the initial jam unit. They're going to get in there and be really annoying and try to engage as many of my models as possible with the breach. And if they can get in there and get some berserk attacks off, that will be very good for them. Aptimus Marketh somewhere in here, putting Inviolable Resolve onto the Immortals, as I thought they would, because that is a very good spell. Putting up infantry up to armor 19 is just that point on the probability curve where like power 12 doesn't do as much damage to them, and that's a pretty significant number to get at. Even high POW stuff and like charging attacks are gonna have to roll to kill them. Everything else going up. Agonizer gets a couple Fury points, and then Molik Karn going on this far flank over here to threaten anything that threatens that flag, so that my opponent's probably going to try to score off that flag early on and see if he can get any points that way. So we're going back to my next turn. I'm putting some shots out with Runewood and my Journeyman Warcaster, just keep pulling some models out. My gun mages are going up. I allocated 2 focus to my Stormclad this turn, my non-bonded Stormclad, and that's going to try to get into my opponent's Gladiator and kill him, and then I can feed on it. The gun mages are going up, laying waste to those Nihilators, killing as many as I can, as early as I can. Those guys are going to be really annoying, especially if they can jam up my my gun mages. Okay, so here's Ehaley activating. She's casting Telekinesis onto the Stormclad to get it further up. Temporal Acceleration went onto the Stormclad, and Deadeye down onto the Stormlances. So they're going to get a turn of Ride by attacking to try to kill as many models as possible during my turn. So here they go. So Ride by Attack lets them advance and make their combat action, and then do another advance. So they're one of the few heavy cavalry units that actually has guns. So they can walk up and then fire and Electroleap, and then walk back. So they get a couple turns of shooting before they really they have to charge in and get a lot of work done. So especially under Epic Haley's feet, they can do that without being engaged, which means that they can get 2 to 3 rounds of shooting off before they have to charge in. The Immortals have Vengeance, so they actually can get up pretty far without me being able to stop them. So they'll be able to engage pretty soon. But here's the Stormclad going onto the Gladiator to try to do as much damage as possible. A lot of really good damage rolls on the Stormclad against this Gladiator right here. And also, Electroloop's going into Zaal, so that's actually doing some transfer damage to the Basilisk Krea, which is not an enormous deal, but it's always nice to get damage on my opponent's war abuse without really having to roll any dice. And then I boxed my other Stormclad in, so he just gets to advance a little bit. And I was hoping to shoot his gun at maybe a knockdown Nihilator or something, but unfortunately didn't plan far enough ahead and put him behind a wall, which really stymied his movement. Here's my opponent getting some Vengeance movements. Hakar gets Raish's Vengeance, so he advanced up to the Stormclad and will be able to attack it. That means he'll be able to attack it even under Haley's feet, because he's already reach range and doesn't need to advance to get there, so that's really annoying. But that's something it's very hard to avoid, and I would basically need to have not gotten the Stormclad up into melee range in order to stop that from happening, so that was going to happen regardless. The Immortals also advancing. I tried to select my opponent's activations in such a way that he would not get to put Last Stand on any important models. So if you could get Last Stand on something like Hakar, then that would mean that he could kill that Stormclad pretty easily, because Hakar did get a lot of souls from the models I killed. So that's the way I was trying to stop my opponent from getting things. Here's Hakar beating on the Stormclad. He took about half the hitboxes out, but left his Cortex and a sword left still intact. So that was very, very lucky on my part that none of his important systems got taken out. The Agonizer runs over, but doesn't put up its no focus bubble. So that Stormclad's going to be fully operational the next turn. Molik Karn just sort of derps around. I also had my opponent activate the Paingivers first, so that if my opponent decided to spend any Fury, they would not be able to take the Fury off, which is something very important to do under Epic Haley's feet. Something I forget to do sometimes, and that lets my opponent spend a lot more Fury than he would really than I should be allowing him. Is what I should be saying. And there's Cygnar walking up behind that forest there. So, and Marketh was out of my feet. I think he got to advance and put Balabrozov onto Hakar, is what I believe happened. To hopefully let him survive. He doesn't have any souls on him anymore, so he doesn't get his Ghost Shield. But he'll still be a tough nut to crack, because he does have 10 boxes and goes up to armor 20, I believe, with Balabrozov. So here is my next turn. My plan this turn was going to be to clear that zone out. I had a couple Nihilators in the zone. That Ancestral Guardian was going to be really annoying. Plan A was going to be to push it out with the Thunderbolt shots from the Gun Mages. Plan B was to hopefully to get Stormclad onto it, so my bonded Stormclad got 2 focus. With that in mind, if the Stormclad didn't need to kill it, then I could wipe out some of those Nihilators with its reach weapons and its Electroleap. And then I was just going to use the Storm Lances to just clear whatever I needed to out. So here's the Gun Mages going. Fired at the Ancestral Guardian, or fired at a couple Nihilators. One guy gets a shot on the Ancestral Guardian and pushes it 3 inches out, so that actually gets it all the way out of the zone, so that's huge. That means I don't have to kill it to clear the zone and start scoring this turn. So there's the rest of the shots going into the Nihilators, knocking as many down as I can. Those guys, tough is a hard defensive ability to get around, because Cygnar doesn't really have anything I can do with. I can get around tough with. Haley's going, casting Deadeye onto the Storm Lances, I believe, and then also Telekinesis onto my Stormclad to get it up over that wall so it can charge without impediment. And then shooting her hand cannon. She shot her hand cannon and killed an Annihilator, and then she Arcane bolted another one and forced a tough check. My other Stormclad going around, that also got 2 focus, and then my Stormblades ran up to let it accumulate, so it accumulated up to 3. It swings at Hakar the Destroyer, but gets really, really awful damage rolls, and left him on 1 box. I was rolling a lot of 2s and 3s for damage there, which was not what I needed, because that means that Stormclad's going to get probably killed by Hakar the Destroyer next turn, unless I can do something really weird to get it out. Here's my Bonded Stormclad charging up. I don't need to kill the Ancestral Guardian, and I don't have the range to do it, so he's just running up, and he's going to beat on and as many Nihilators as possible. He was able to kill 2 Nihilators, but the 3rd one was out of his melee range, so that was unfortunate. I put him a little too far over, but there was a Storm Lance in my way, so I couldn't have charged any closer to the Annihilator to get in there. Here are the Storm Lances going, getting up to take out as many models in that zone as possible. I got an Impact attack on an Immortal, kills him, and then a bunch of assaults onto this cluster of 3 Immortals on that top area behind the forest there. So they ended up getting killed by the assault shots, plus the Electroleap, plus the melee attack, plus the other Electroleap. Stormlancers generate a lot of damage when they charge and get all of those Electroleaps and impact attacks off. We finally got Saxonork out as well, and then my last shot takes out the Nihilator there. So that was huge, and eHaley has moved into the zone over the wall there, so I will be able to dominate this turn and score 2 points. This is my opponent's turn, deciding what to do. He's lost a lot of models. All of his infantry have been taken out, so he is enormously underhanded now. I was able to get my Journeyman Warcaster to shoot boosted hit and boosted damage on Hekata the Destroyer and roll the 11 I needed to kill him, so he turned into a Kovaas. So that's going to be really annoying. That model's incorporeal when it starts its activation, so he will be able to charge in through my models and without taking free strikes. The Agonizer goes up and bubbles so that both of the Stormclads are in it, so that I won't be able to allocate any focus to my Warjacks next turn, but that's not a huge problem. Most of the things that on my opponent's in my opponent's army, I don't really need a lot of focus to kill. Right now, Molik Karn being is going to be a problem, but I don't think it's going to be close enough for my Stormclads to get at anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. Zaal walking up and feeding his Ancestral Guardian over there in the zone, charging those 3 Stormlances after Marketh advances up and Hex Blasts 1 to drop Arcane Shield off. So that Ancestral Guardian being able to go in and between the feet, boosting hit and damage, and his spending souls to get a total of 4 attacks, is able to kill all those Stormlances. So that's unfortunate for me, but they did their job and allowed me to get a number of points. Here's the Kovaas going in, forcing a bunch of Abomination checks. Fortunately, I pass all of them, and then Threshering and using the feet to boost the hit on a bunch of Gun Mages and killing 3 of them, I believe. So leaving 4 Gun Mages alive, which is very sad. Okay, last but not least, Molik Karn advancing the Stormclad. So we were onto the Stormclad. We were wondering where the Stormclad's melee range was for free strikes. He was able to get around it without problem, hitting him, sidestepping, using the feat to boost the damage, and then hitting him again and sidestepping again into a Gun Mage, I believe, killing the Gun Mage and forcing a command check, which they fail. So the Gun Mages are fleeing, and because Awakened Spirit is on Molik Karn, that allows Molik Karn to advance again for free at the end of the turn via Fate Walker. Alrighty, so here's the beginning of my next turn. I'm going to try to clear that zone and dominate it again. The only really thing that's in there is going to be the Ancestral Guardian. So I have the Journeyman Warcaster go first. She casts Arcane Shield onto eHaley, and she's going to charge into the Kovaas and kill it. She does have a magic weapon. Then eHaley goes. She charges the Ancestral Guardian. She gets into the forest, so she has a little bit of defense against ranged attacks. And with her magic spear, she's able to take that down, the Ancestral Guardian, and then also the Kovaas that appears out of it. Then Eiryss advances. She takes a shot at Aptimus Marketh. She kills it. She kills him with a lucky roll. Then Runewood goes up. He gives the Arcane Tempest Gun Mages Fearless, so they end up rallying, and then they activate and shoot into the Agonizer, do a couple points damage. And I think he shot the Agonizer too, so that ends up finishing off the Agonizer, so that's one less thing I have to worry about. And then everything else runs up to get into position. My Squire runs up next to eHaley, and my Stormlances run around the forest there. I think one of them got a shot into the Agonizer, ended up killing the Agonizer, so that was the thing that finished off the Agonizer with the gunshot. And then everything else just runs around and repositions into places that I need it. My Bonded Stormclad running back to hang out with eHaley. I realized afterwards that I did put the Stormclad within 5 inches of Eiryss, so he's going to be useless next turn. And that is very unfortunate, but I don't think it's going to matter too much, because I score my fourth point. My opponent decides to try to get an assassination run off. He goes up with the Krea, tries to paralyze eHaley, ends up missing because the Krea has very, very low rat. Then Zaal goes up. He Hex Blasts eHaley to try to drop off Arcane Shield, ends up missing because his spells do not ignore concealment, although his ranged attack does. He makes his ranged attack, misses, doesn't do anything anyway, and then tries to get Molik Karn into the zone. He tries to charge that foremost Gun Mage, but we ended up finding out that a wreck marker, if it's directly in front of you, takes 8 inches of movement to entirely cross. And without Rush, because the Gladiator's dead, he can't get Pathfinder or any movement buff, so he's not going to be able to get close enough. And my opponent cannot contest that zone, and I end up scoring my 5th and last point and win the game. So that is score 1 for eHaley. And yeah, so that was the first of my Abridged battle reports. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you do, and if you would like more of these sort of battle reports. and I will see what I can do about making them. But stay tuned for more full-length reports as well as I practice more games for the New England Team Tournament.